Heights of Gilroy on drug-related charges. And court proceedings began yesterday to determine whether a 16-year-old boy accused of murder will be tried as an adult. Calvin Mann has those details.
The teen is one of 2 people arrested in connection with a gang-motivated shooting of a 26-year-old man on April 8th in Live Oak. If the judge determines the teen can be rehabilitated in the juvenile system, he would not be tried as an adult. For KSCO, I'm Calvin Mann.
And a group of people have expressed concern about a plan to construct high-density housing on the edge of Santa Cruz. Ellen Aldridge with the Ocean Street Extension Neighbors Association spoke with KSCO about the issue.
It's really a time when the citizens of Santa Cruz need to come out and say what they want to see their city look like. And when you have a development that really changes the tenor of a neighborhood or the character of a neighborhood, or to have that high of density across from a memorial park with all that additional traffic, that's something our citizens want. So really it's a political solution at this point. If we have enough citizens come speak to both the Planning Commission and the City Council and say, no, do not change your general plan. Do not change the zoning to allow this high-density use really at the edge of the city.
For more information, visit osenasc.org. That's osenasc.org. It's 5:12. Time to get back to Flight 1080. I'm Phil Deseth for KSCO Radio.
Are you struggling with stubborn unwanted fat? Are your clothes not fitting the way they used to? Hi, this is Stacy Bosco, owner of Body Lab Med Spa, and if this sounds like you, then you need to check out the world's leading non-invasive fat removal treatment. It's called Cool Sculpting. Cool Sculpting is an FDA-cleared medical procedure that freezes away unwanted fat for good, without surgery or downtime. Cool Sculpting can be done during your lunch hour. And during your free consultation, our certified Cool Sculpting specialists will assess your needs and tailor your treatment to achieve your desired results. With Cool Sculpting, it's never been easier to transform your body. Call us today at 831-600-8911 to schedule your free consultation. You owe it to yourself to take the next step. Go to bodylabspa.com to schedule your free consultation.
MeTV is your TV home for memorable entertainment television.
All those in favor of me, say aye. Aye.
From classic comedy,
a whole blooming Brady bunch. Happy days.
Cheers.
To retro sci-fi,
Lost in Space, Batman,
and groundbreaking dramas.
Harry Mason, The Twilight Zone.
You'll love MeTV's variety.
Lucy loves me.
Here's where you can watch MeTV.
MeTV is only on KYMB Channel 27.1 and Comcast Cable Channel 19.
Every Saturday from 12 noon to 1 o'clock on KSCO, it's Perspectives with Dr. David Biles. Perspectives covers a number of topics, including holistic health, vaccinations, and government waste. Don't miss the next exciting Perspectives program here on AM 1080 KSCO. Every Saturday from 12 noon to 1, right here.
Thanks for listening to AM 1080 KSCO.
Broadcasting live, beachside, within a stone's throw of the ocean. Santa Cruz, California, Monterey Bay, Silicon Valley. We welcome our next guest, and I'm excited about this guest. I am so excited. You can't see me right now, but I am sweating. Our next guest is Nadine Strawson. Now, Nadine is author of the book called Hate, Why We Should Resist It with Free Speech and Not Censorship. Nadine Strawson is a professor of constitutional law at New York Law School and the first woman national president of the ACLU, where she served from 1991 through 2008. She's a frequent speaker on constitutional and civil liberties issues. Her media appearances include 60 Minutes, CBS Sunday Morning, Today, Good Morning America, The Daily Show, and other news programs, CNN, C-SPAN, Fox, Al Jazeera, all kinds of places you've probably heard or seen her before, or maybe even read some of her pieces in the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Washington Times, USA Today, all kinds of places. Is it doctor or just Nadine?
Just Nadine, please.
Nadine. Okay, Nadine. So I made it through the introduction, and I didn't blow it yet. Thank you for joining us here on Flight 1080. This book, I'm a very slow reader, but I did manage to read the first chapter. I just got it last night. I got the book last night. I read the first chapter, and this thing is amazing. And if the book is anything like the first chapter, holy cow! It is so rare to hear somebody put into words the things that I feel but just don't have the ability to put into words. You know, I am a minority. I'm Latino, Mexican American, whatever you call it. I am dark skinned, and people tell me all the time, how can you stand up for people who hate speech and I don't know what to tell them. I don't know what to tell them because they're speaking against me, right? They hate me. Those people hate me, but yet I will stand up for their right to be idiots if that's what they want to do. And I don't know how else to put it, and I'm glad that somebody out there can do it for me. So again, welcome aboard Flight 1080. Tell us a little bit more about why you wrote this book. Again, the book is called Hate, Why We Should Resist It with Free Speech and Not Censorship.
Well, thank you so much for having me on your very impressive show, Dave, and I'm really grateful that you took your time to begin reading the book. And Chapter 1 is an overview of the entire argument, and then the rest of the book goes into more detail. And I have to say, I also am a member of a very reviled minority by being a Jew. My father was actually a Holocaust survivor, so I'm very, very concerned about combating hatred and discrimination and stereotyping. And I want to tell your audience that my message is very well summarized by the title. The only verb in the title is resist, right? So the main title is Hate, and the subtitle is Why We Should Resist It with Free Speech, Not Censorship. So I am advocating that we speak up and we act up and we advocate and we organize against hatred and discrimination and discriminatory violence and in favor of equality and dignity and diversity and inclusivity. But censoring hateful words and ideas, while it may sound very appealing, turns out to actually do more harm than good. So precisely those of us who are members of disparaged minorities have the biggest stake in making sure that government and other powerful actors in our society don't get what is an inherently discretionary power to decide which ideas are so hateful that they should be subject to censorship. And I give some examples. So, many people, powerful government officials have argued that Black Lives Matter advocacy is hate speech, right? In France, where they actually enforce laws against hate speech, the head of an LGBT rights organization was actually criminally convicted of hate speech because she called the leader of an organization that opposed gay rights, she called her a homophobe. And that was deemed to be criminal hate speech. So I just don't trust the government to make these inherently subjective determinations. You and I as individuals should make our own decisions about what ideas we hate and choose not to listen to or to refute, right? To respond to in whatever way we choose, but we should not empower the government to do that.
Right, because, at this point, like you said, some people, maybe even some people in the government, would love to label Black Lives Matter as a hate group and suppress their speech. So when you start getting into suppressing hate speech, you are going down a very, very dangerous road. And I'm glad, again, that you are here to help me explain why this road is so dangerous and such a slippery road to traverse. So in the beginning of the book, you suggest that we get familiar with a few terms. Two of them that pop up quite frequently, at least in the first chapter, and I'm assuming in the rest of the book, is the two terms that I see most so far is emergency test and view neutrality. Do you want to talk about that?
Oh, so I can summarize all of First Amendment law. And the First Amendment, of course, is what contains the freedom of speech guarantee. Very complex body of law developed over many, many years by many Supreme Court decisions. But it really all boils down to two principles which really make so much sense. One is the viewpoint neutrality principle, which says government has to remain neutral to the viewpoint, the idea, the message, the content of the speech. It may never suppress or punish speech merely because of disapproval or dislike of the idea or view that the speech conveys. However, government may suppress or regulate speech according to what I call the emergency principle, and that is if in a particular context the speech, so we're going beyond its content or its viewpoint, right? But in a particular context, that speech directly causes certain serious, specific, imminent harm, such as a true threat, which instills a reasonable fear in the person at whom it's targeted that they're going to be subject to some kind of violent attack, or intentional incitement of imminent violence, where the violence is likely to occur imminently, or a targeted harassment or bullying. And when you think about it, it really makes so much sense. When the speech really is the most likely to cause some kind of tangible harm, then it can be punished. But government is not empowered to just say that is a bad idea and it's unpopular in the community. That is never a justification for punishing it.
You mentioned here towards the end of the first chapter, President Obama was a big supporter of free speech. As a matter of fact, was very against trying to suppress hate speech, right? He felt, as you do, that the best way to fight it was with more speech and not censorship.
And this was very important during the last couple of years of Obama's presidency, was when we started to see a resurgence of student activism on campus in support of Black Lives Matter and other social and racial justice causes, and in favor of immigrants' rights and against sexual violence. And as a veteran student activist from many decades ago, I've been very happy that we now have students for the first time in a long time really caring and being committed about social justice. But the sad thing, Dave, is that we know through anecdotes and through surveys that too many students think that speech is an enemy, that freedom of speech has to be suppressed. Surveys show that majorities of college students think that hate speech should not be protected. They disagree with those Supreme Court decisions, and that bothered Barack Obama. So during the last part of his administration, he regularly addressed college students. I think the last commencement address he gave was at Howard University, a historically black college. And he said specifically to minority students that it's especially important for you to engage with ideas that you hate and not to try to shout them down or shut them down or have disinvitations. And he cited the civil rights movement as an example, that the way that you bring about change is you listen to people whose ideas you find hateful and hated, and you engage with them, and you debate them, and you try to refute them, or at least you persuade other people not to listen to them. And censorship is only going to rebound and play into the hands of the haters, right? That's why you get provocateurs such as Milo Yiannopoulos. Nobody ever heard of him until Berkeley censored him, right?
Right.
And that's what these people have done throughout history. It's exactly the strategy that was used by Hitler. Many people are surprised to learn that in Germany at the time when Hitler was rising to power and the Nazis were rising to power, they had anti-hate speech laws, and the Nazis were repeatedly prosecuted. They loved it. They were grandstanding. This was a way for them to get attention and sympathy. So, it may feel very morally satisfying to call for disinvitation or to engage in shout downs or worse yet, violence, but you're actually simply, it's like giving a megaphone to exactly the message that you want to silence.
Speaking of Barack Obama going to campuses, what do you think is happening to free speech on campus? Do you think that they're trying to be... is the intentions good to try to protect some students from being offended, or is this all going down the wrong rabbit hole? What's going on there? What's your opinion about what's happening?
Well, I like to always see the positive in every situation, and I think I do commend everybody on campus who is commendably concerned about the feelings and the well-being and the inclusivity and the equality and respect that they want to extend to everybody. So it's wonderful that administrators and other students are very concerned that certain minority students not be subject to disparaging speech. But again, we get back to, okay, we all share the goals, but what is actually an effective way of promoting those goals? And so I quote not only political, minority political leaders and activists such as Barack Obama and Van Jones and Ruth Simmons and many others who say, it's completely counterproductive to try to shield these students from hearing those views because that's going to thwart them in bringing about social change, but also in terms of, their individual sense of mental health and well-being. I quote many social psychologists and mental health experts who say it's actually doing harm to the psychological well-being of students to shield them from these words because they've got to learn how to develop resistance, right? Sort of like building up an immunity to disease. And they talk about developing resilience, and you can learn to rise above it and not let those, just because somebody hurls demeaning words at you doesn't mean you have to feel demeaned. In fact, you can look down on them. They're the ones that should be, embarrassed and humiliated by having those ideas. And there's actually a whole field of psychology, cognitive behavioral techniques that all of us can be trained to not allow words that could potentially hurt us, but only if we allow them to have that impact.
That's easy for us to say as adults. What happens when, with children? Children don't have the ability sometimes to cope with hate like this. Is there ever an appropriate time to ban hate speech? And I know how much you are against doing that, but is there ever a time that you don't allow it to be said?
No, because for the same reason that I say we should resist, right? We're not going to be passive in the face of these words, or these ideas. But we have to be strategic about what is the best response. And I think exactly at the earliest age, we have to inoculate students, young people, against the potential adverse impact. And, I remember when I was a kid, I'm sure many of us had our parents tell us, sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt you. Right. And they didn't mean that words can't hurt. Obviously, words hurt every day, and not just hate speech, but all kinds of words hurt. And that I take not as a factual statement, but as sort of an aspirational. We are not going to let the words hurt us, right? And I think it's no coincidence that it's a children's rhyme. You have to start developing the attitude that you are not going to allow that word to hurt you because you are going to have your own sense of self-confidence and pride. And I've actually talked to adult friends of mine who were bullied when they were kids for being gay or, different in some way. Kids can be very cruel, and they talked about how they learned to rise above that or to repel it with humor or other strategies. And I think, by the way, it's part of equipping people from a very young age to deal with other kinds of problematic speech, including fake news, right? Yes. We have to train people from the very beginning to process, to not believe it, to not be adversely affected by it, and you can't start too young.
Thank you, Nadine. That was Nadine Strawson. Again, her book, Hate: Why We Need to Fight It with Free Speech and Not Censorship. Check that book out and ask your local book dealer for that. They can order it for you, or you can also go on Amazon and buy it there as well. KSCO News Time is 5:30. Phil Deeseth is standing by. Headlines are up next. ZBSradio.com, flight1080.net. Check those out as well. Here's Phil.
Thanks, Dave, and good afternoon, Central Coast. Santa Cruz County Sheriff's deputies are searching for a suspect that fled a traffic stop near King and Sherman Streets in Santa Cruz. 33-year-old Sean Oliver reportedly jumped out of the driver's seat of his moving car early this morning and evaded officers. Oliver has a history of reckless behavior and was arrested on drug-related charges in 2017. Anyone with information on his whereabouts is encouraged to contact authorities. And a Salinas gang member has been sentenced to 8 years behind bars. 32-year-old Jorge Cowboy Lopez pled guilty to robbing and conspiring to rob 5 banks in the greater Monterey Bay area in November of 2011. In March of the next year, Lopez was ordered to pay nearly $53,000 in restitution. In Monterey, county officials have developed a phone application that allows residents to file complaints about vehicle code violations and eventually parking problems. The launch comes about a month before thousands of cars arrive for Monterey Car Week in August. Reports from the app will help the county officials create plans for future events. It's 5:31. Time to get back to Flight 1080. I'm Bill Deeseth for KSCO Radio.
Thank you very much, Phil. KSCO drive time is 5:32. Let's take a quick look at your traffic conditions, starting off in Monterey County, northbound Highway 1, Nashua near Molera Road. Wait, that's northbound 1 near Nashua, Molera Road. A traffic hazard reported at 5:21. Let's see. Looks like we have a vehicle that is parked a little too close to the roadway. Highway 152 near Furlong Avenue. Furlong or Longfur? Furlong. Traffic hazard reported at 5:16. Someone driving the wrong way near the Furlong intersection. All right, let's see what's worth reporting out there. Let's start off on Highway 17. That's been a trouble spot all afternoon. Southbound speeds as you leave Campbell. Backed up. Boy, that is stop and go definitely. No doubt about that. Speeds will pick up, though, once you make it past the reservoir. I'll take that back. I will take that back. It looks like it's going to be slow-moving, again, just after the reservoir. So that little spot there near the reservoir, things are looking fine. But, again, near Los Gatos, stop and go, and near Redwood Estates, it's also stop and go. This is in the southbound direction of Highway 17. Northbound 17, still slow-moving as well. This is due to an accident near the Vine Hill area. Speeds now up to about 10 miles per hour. Stop and go traffic here in Santa Cruz in the southbound direction all the way into Aptos. Moss Landing, as usual, slow-moving traffic north of the harbor. Monterey into Seaside, 10 miles per hour. Over on 101 southbound, Coyote Valley, Gilroy, and then again near Riverside, stop. Stop and go. Northbound 101 heading into Salinas near... What road was that? We had some debris in the roadway. This is near Market Street. We've got debris in the roadway that has traffic slow moving as you head into Salinas. 475-1080 with your traffic reports. We'll be right back.
Are you struggling with stubborn unwanted fat? Are your clothes not fitting the way they used to? Hi, this is Stacy Bosco, owner of Body Lab Med Spa, and if this sounds like you, then you need to check out the world's leading non-invasive fat removal treatment. It's called Cool Sculpting. Cool Sculpting is an FDA-cleared medical procedure that freezes away unwanted fat for good, without surgery or downtime. Cool Sculpting can be done during your lunch hour. And during your free consultation, our certified Cool Sculpting specialists will assess your needs and tailor your treatment to achieve your desired results. With Cool Sculpting, it's never been easier to transform your body. Call us today at 831-600-8911 to schedule your free consultation. You owe it to yourself to take the next step. Go to bodylabspa.com to schedule your free consultation.
MeTV is your TV home for memorable entertainment television.
All those in favor of me, say aye. Aye.
From classic comedy,
The whole blooming Brady Bunch. Happy days.
Cheers.
to retro sci-fi
Lost in space. Batman.
and groundbreaking dramas,
Harry Mason.
The Twilight Zone.
you'll love MeTV's variety.
Lucy loves me.
Here's where you can watch MeTV.
MeTV is only on KYMB Channel 27.1 and Comcast Cable Channel 19.
Every Saturday from 12 noon to 1 o'clock on KSCO, it's Perspectives with Dr. David Biles. Perspectives covers a number of topics, including holistic health, vaccinations, and government waste. Don't miss the next exciting Perspectives program here on AM 1080 KSCO. Every Saturday from 12 noon to 1, right here.
Thanks for listening to AM 1080 KSCO.
Okay, so we are here with Callum Chase. Callum is author of several books, and they are The Two Singularities, The Economic Singularity, and Surviving AI. Callum, thank you for joining us here on Flight 1080. I did get a chance to check out some of The Economic Singularity, which I think is absolutely fascinating. You know, I was surprised when I was looking for guests to a book regarding AI. I was looking for somebody more, or I was expecting somebody who was more into the darker side of AI. You seem to be more optimistic about where artificial intelligence is going.
Yes, that's right. I am optimistic, but there are really serious challenges. I think we can have a great world if we deploy AI and use AI sensibly, but we have to rise to some serious challenges. If we do, then everything will be really good.
Okay, so what makes you so optimistic, whereas for the most part, or maybe we just seem to gravitate more towards the naysayers and the people who seem to have a darker view? What makes you so optimistic? Why do you feel this way?
Actually, I think the people who are often seen as being naysayers are being slightly misrepresented. I mean, take Elon Musk, for instance. People think he's a complete naysayer. What he actually said way back in 2014 was that artificial intelligence will either be the best thing or the worst thing to happen to humanity. And I think he's absolutely right. If we were, I mean, he talks mostly about superintelligence, which I call the second singularity. It's when we create an artificial general intelligence, that's a machine which has all the cognitive abilities of an adult human, and it quickly goes on to become a superintelligence, and we become the second smartest species on the planet. Now, this isn't going to happen tomorrow, and it's not going to happen in the next 10 years or so, probably. A lot of people think maybe 50 years, maybe 100 years. Now, if we do that, if we do create this superintelligence, and let's say it doesn't like us, or it has goals and aims for itself which are really inconvenient to us, like, for instance, it decides to change the composition of the atmosphere on this planet. Okay. That could be really, really bad for us.
Yes.
So there are some major challenges, as I say. In that case, the challenge is to make sure that the very first superintelligence, if we're going to create one, really, really likes us and understands us better than we understand ourselves. If we manage to meet that challenge, then we would have an entity on this planet which is much, much smarter than the most intelligent of us. And it could, it's reasonable to believe it could solve all our major problems, like poverty or war or death or political disagreement. Life wouldn't get boring, it wouldn't get samey, there'd be a lot of variety and the opportunity for great creativity. But we could remove an awful lot of our worst problems. So, as I say, I think that artificial intelligence can bring great, great benefits if we meet the challenges.
Okay, now, is there ever a chance that it will surpass us in intelligence? I'm assuming that it will. You brought up a couple examples. One was the chess match between Watson and whoever, Kasparov, was that his name?
That's right. That chess match was between Garry Kasparov, a Russian chess player, probably the best human chess player ever, and an IBM system called Deep Blue.
Okay, now you point out, I had never thought about this. That was just a matter of crunching numbers and probabilities. I don't know if that would really count as artificial intelligence. What is the definition of artificial intelligence? Let's go there.
Yeah, so 2 words. Artificial is easy, means not made by humans and not made by alien species. So, sorry, made by humans or made by an alien species, so not generated by evolution. Intelligence is trickier because we can't really define what human intelligence is, and human intelligence is probably only one of an enormous space of possible intelligences. But for argument's sake, the sort of quickest, easiest way to define it, intelligence is the ability to solve a range of problems in a range of different environments. So you can't just feed in some data and get an answer which is pre-programmed to come out. And arguably that is mostly what was going on in Deep Blue from Watson when it beat Garry Kasparov. What's happened since 2012, actually, there was a big bang in artificial intelligence because a man called Jeff Hinton and some colleagues in Toronto managed to get a branch of statistics called machine learning to work with AI. And since then, we have machines which are creative. They're not human. They don't think. They're not conscious. They don't have empathy or anything like that. But they are creative, and they learn, and they are adaptable. So they do show signs of intelligence. These are narrow intelligences. A nice description of them is that they are like a machine which can play the perfect chess move, completely unaware that it's in a building which is burning down.
What is it that makes us so different from them? Will we be indistinguishable? I mean, will they lack creativity? Will they be able to create music, poetry, sculptures, paintings, that kind of stuff? Or is that strictly a human trait that will never transfer over to, never be a part of artificial intelligence?
The honest truth is that nobody knows. And the answer will probably depend to some extent on how they are created. So superintelligence is likely to come either one of 2 ways. One is that we carry on developing the AI systems that we already have. As I said, machine learning and a subset of it called deep learning are the most powerful techniques of AI at the moment. But they won't get us all the way to superintelligence on their own, probably. We'll have to reintegrate an older form of AI called symbolic AI. And there's some more conceptual leaps that will need to be made, and we don't know what they are, and we don't know how long they might take. That's one way to create superintelligence. The other is to reverse engineer a human brain. So what you do is you take a human brain, preferably from somebody who stopped using it, and you slice it really thinly, and you scan all those slices, and you use the data you get from that to create what's called the connectome, which is the wiring diagram of the human brain, by analogy with the genome. And if you get that wiring diagram with enough detail, and you make a copy of it in a machine, and you get that machine working, it will do what a brain does. And what a brain does is it creates minds. Now that would probably be quite similar to a human mind because it was modeled on a human mind, whereas the other route, just building on deep learning, machine learning and so on, will probably create quite an alien sort of mind. So we don't really know what we're likely to create when we create superintelligence, and whether it's human-like or completely alien will depend largely probably on the way we get there.
Wow, that blows me away. That is fascinating. I love this topic. I love it. What stage in artificial intelligence? First of all, where was the beginning? Where do you think we are now, and what is the inevitable future?
Okay, so where we are now is at the beginning. AI is an overnight sensation which has been 60 years in the making. It started in 1956 at a conference in America at a place called Dartmouth College. And for a long time, people thought, wow, this is exciting, but really it didn't achieve very much until, as I say, there was this big bang in 2012. And now we're at the beginning in the sense that we are starting to see systems at work. So Google Search uses a lot of AI. Facebook facial recognition does. When you use a map and it tells you not only how long it will take you to get from where you are to your destination, but also reroutes you if there's a traffic accident or something, That all uses AI. Amazon uses AI extensively. It is starting to penetrate the rest of the economy, but it's quite slow because it's not easy to do this stuff at the moment. It takes a huge amount of compute power, a lot of data, and very smart machine learning researchers to wrangle the data. So we're really at the very early stages. But the thing is, with AI, like a lot of machine technologies, you're always at the beginning because we're on what's called an exponential growth curve. So Moore's law is the observation that machines get twice as powerful every 18 months. Mm-hmm. And that is an exponential process because we're doubling performance every 18 months. And when you do that, every step you take is equal to the sum of all the previous steps. So you're always at the knee of an exponential curve. You're always at the beginning. Where we're going, I think we will go to superintelligence, and my hunch is it will take somewhere between 50 and 100 years. Nobody knows. And I also think that before we get there, another very interesting thing that's going to happen, which I call the economic singularity, is that an awful lot of people are going to find themselves unable to do a job for money. Mm-hmm. And the reason for that is that machines are getting much more and more powerful, more and more smarter, and before long they'll be able to do most things humans can do for money better, cheaper and faster than the humans can. When I say before long, this isn't going to happen tomorrow or in the next 5 years, but I think we'll start seeing it happening in about 10 years, and I think it'll be in full flight in maybe 20 to 30 years. And we have to prepare for that. That's the other really big challenge that we have to prepare for.
You know, that's the one thing I found very interesting about your book, and why I say you seem optimistic about it, was because you mentioned, and I have to tell you, I got kind of defensive when you pointed out that machines are going to be taking a lot of our jobs, and I got really defensive as a human and started thinking, well, wait a minute, they can't do this, can they? Can they do? And then I started thinking, boy, you know what? There's a lot of things that they can replace us. And so then I started coming up with insults for these robots, like Rust Bucket. Do you think will they have emotions? I mean, will that hurt their feelings if I start calling them names like that? They've taken my jobs, so now I start going out there and calling them Rust Buckets or calculators or whatever I call them. Will they have feelings? Is that part of intelligence as well?
Before they get to artificial general intelligence, before they get to the point where they are human equivalent, they don't care what you call them. They don't care if you shoot them with a gun. They have no consciousness. They have no feeling. So you can call them what you like.
Mm-hmm. So that'll never hurt their feelings. I mean, what is you mentioned AGI? That is different from AI, correct?
AGI is short for artificial general intelligence. So the moment we have the AIs that we have are all narrow intelligences. And if you have in mind that idea of a machine which can play the perfect move while it's in a house that's burning down, that's a narrow intelligence. It can do one thing to superhuman level. It can play chess to a superhuman level. It can't do anything else. It can't get itself from one room to another, and it can't even have any awareness that it's in a burning building. So the change that happens when we get to general intelligence, which is what humans have, we have a general intelligence, that is when they get to human level and quickly become superintelligence. So all the joblessness question, which I call the economic singularity, that comes well before that. And that's the challenge that I think we really need to address now, because we're not thinking about it seriously, which we should be.
Now, this has been happening since Henry Ford invented the assembly line, right? Losing our jobs to automation, we start incorporating machines and robots into building these cars. This has been happening little by little, but now all of a sudden it seems like it is happening at a rapid pace. You mentioned, I think you posted an article this morning about truck driving and how in the UK at least they're looking to replace truck drivers with automatically as artificial intelligence driven trucks.
Yeah, that's right. Self-driving trucks, and of course this is being pioneered in America along with most things to do with artificial intelligence. America is in the lead. I mean, you'll be pleased to hear, and I'm sure most people living where you are in California are aware that Silicon Valley is the absolute ground zero of artificial intelligence. You can't rest on your laurels because China's catching up fast. China had a wake-up call when a system developed by a company called DeepMind, which is a subsidiary of Google based in London, beat the world's best player of a game called Go, which is a board game, much more complicated than chess, and it's very, very popular in China and Greater China. And since then, China has invested huge amounts in artificial intelligence and is catching up fast with the US. You may be pleased to know, or you may not, that Europe is nowhere. We're not. Maybe that will change, maybe it won't. So, yes, self-driving vehicles, which are being pioneered in California and in Arizona, are almost certainly going to make most truck drivers and most other professional drivers, and that's 5 million people in the USA, jobless. They'll have to find new jobs. Now, it isn't going to happen tomorrow. The technology isn't perfect yet. A Google self-driving car travels about 3,000 miles before it needs to hand over to the human because it gets confused. Something happens that it's not expecting. And they have to get that 3,000 miles a lot higher. But they're already a great deal safer than humans. You know, humans, every year around the world, we kill 1.2 million people because we're not very good at driving. Because we get tired, we get drunk, we get distracted, and we look at our mobile phones, and machines don't do that. They don't do any of that. So they're already a lot safer, but we have to get them to be as close to perfect as possible before we really unleash them. But when we do, it seems to me inevitable that professional drivers are going to have to find another job. Now, we don't know how long that will take, and we don't know how long the process of changeover will take, but, you know, not very long, I think.
Self-driving cars, it seems to be the most tangible, the most tangible thing that we have as far as artificial intelligence. You know, what is this going to mean to our lives? Well, there's the self-driving car. It is the most tangible thing that we see. It's here right now. It is, though it has cost a few lives here in the United States. There
was one fatal accident where a self-driving car, which is an Uber car in Arizona, ran over a woman and killed her.
Right.
Now, the police who attended the incident, they announced immediately that it wasn't the car's fault. Since then, there's been a lot of investigation still going on, and we haven't had the final official report yet, so we don't really know what happened. But that is a statistically really small number of accidents. And Google's cars have now driven more than 5 million miles mostly around California and Arizona, and they haven't unambiguously caused a single accident. They certainly haven't caused a single serious accident yet. So that's a driving record which no human has. You know, they already.
New details tonight on the arrest of Stormy Daniels. Her attorney says charges against this client have been dropped. There's
a fear of machines, and we do not want to be run over by machines. It's bad being run over by a human, but emotionally, we're less ready to be run over by machines. So we want them to be really close to perfect. We put up with pretty terrible driving from humans, but we won't put up with that from machines.
Yeah, you got a point there. You got a point there. All right, let's see. We talked about that. What's next for self-driving cars? I mean, are we really going to be... I heard that the next step is to remove steering wheels, the brake pedal, and the gas pedal from these things, and basically put you in a pod that you have no control over, and you just trust it. Just trust the car.
Yeah, that is, in a sense, that's the end game. So Google made a really interesting discovery where they were developing these things. Their initial plan was to have cars which were driven by the machines most of the time, but every now and then would kind of stop a little alarm, say to the human, "Oh, I'm a bit confused now, I need you to take over." What they found was that very quickly, after humans spent a little bit of time in a car that could drive itself, they stopped paying attention. And they found that the people who were kind of chaperoning these things around in tests were turning around at 60 miles an hour looking for something on the back seat, rather than paying attention to what was going on in front of them. So they quickly realized you have to get to the point where the machine can always drive itself. And so in that case, yes, you do not need a steering wheel. You don't need a pedal. That's where it will go. And as you said, self-driving vehicles are going to be the most tangible demonstration of artificial intelligence. But as I said earlier, Google Search uses it a lot. Google Maps and Apple Maps use it a lot. But when people see self-driving cars wandering around, which are essentially robots, when they see all these robots doing something which we don't allow humans to do until they're in late adolescence, they're going to definitely think, wow, that's a powerful technology. And look, it's laying off all these drivers. They're all having to get new jobs. How long before the machine comes for my job? That will be a question we all start asking ourselves. I think that is going to happen in around 10 to 15 years. Nobody knows when, but I think that's going to happen. And I think before that happens, the big challenge for us is we have to have a plan. We have to have an answer to what is everybody going to do when the machines take a lot of our jobs. Will we create lots of new jobs? Or could we have perhaps a better economy where most humans, or many humans anyway, don't have to do jobs, and we get an income which we don't have to work for, but we just get it because we're citizens. And I think that is a really interesting possibility, but I think it's only possible if we do another step, which is we have to create what some people call an economy of abundance, or the Star Trek economy, in which most of the goods and services that you need for a very good life are very, very cheap. And I think we have to get to abundance in order to deal with massive joblessness. So it's a big problem, and we have a few years to solve it, but I think we're not paying enough attention to it.
Okay, so now the book that I picked up is The Economic Singularity. You have several other books, so which is the latest one that you have written?
So my last book is called Artificial Intelligence and the Two Singularities. It's published by an academic publisher, which means it's courageously expensive. But it covers the whole subject. And my previous two books, which, as you say, Economic Singularity and Surviving AI, they individually cover one each of the two singularities, which the new book makes up.
Okay, now as I was reading The Economic Singularity, I was kind of put on defense. One, like I said, when you were mentioning the jobs that they're going to be taking from us, and I got defensive, thinking, well, they can't take this job, they can't take that job. The other thing I got defensive about, and you mentioned that it is particularly maybe an American feeling about UBI, right? This is the Universal Basic Income. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's right.
You were saying that this is going to be essential to making this new world work, right? Where the machines have taken our jobs. You were saying this is going to be a critical part of this plan. What do you see as the plan? What is the economic singularity?
So economic singularity is the term I've given to the process of moving to a post-jobs world. We don't know for sure that machines will take over many and perhaps most of the jobs humans currently do. And we also don't know for sure that if they do, we won't invent lots of new ones. A lot of people think, that they won't take over the jobs, and a lot of other people think that they will, but we will invent lots of new ones. I think they will take over most of the existing jobs, and we won't create lots of new ones. I think instead we have to get our heads around the idea that we're going to live in a world where probably a majority of people just don't do jobs. Now, in that world, we shouldn't allow everybody to starve. That would be terrible. So we're going to have to find ways of giving money to people who have not got jobs. Now, people think that in America there's no welfare state, and in Europe there is. It's not really true. You do have a welfare state, and the European welfare state isn't as socialist as a lot of American people think it is. They're not terribly different, but there's culturally perhaps a greater acceptance in Europe. You don't necessarily need to do a job to be a valid human being. That strikes a bad chord with a lot of people in America. But I think we're going to have to get our heads around that idea. Mm-hmm. But I also don't think that we can just say, fine, we'll tax all the people who are still working and the people who've got a lot of money and just give everybody else lots and lots of cash, because the people who've got money will hide it. They'll all go and live in somewhere which has a very low tax rate. So that's why I think we have to have abundance. We have to have an economy in which prices get really low in order to be able to afford the transfers, which will be inevitable if people aren't doing jobs. And I think this business of this idea of abundance, this idea of a Star Trek economy is entirely possible. Machines will produce goods and services really efficiently, much more efficiently than we do at the moment. And the other thing that's happening is energy is getting much, much cheaper. Electricity collection, storage, and transmission is getting much, much cheaper, much more efficient. Those two things together, very, very efficient AI-led production and cheap energy, I think we can have this economy of abundance, which means we can afford the post-job society.
Okay, we are here with Callum Chase. Callum, I want to thank you again for joining us. We're just about over with this interview. We're just about out of time. But let me ask you one last question. What do you feel, is there an existential threat posed by AI to the human race? I know that sounds kind of outlandish or kind of provocative question to ask. But what do you think?
I think it's a very reasonable question, and the short answer is yes. If we create a superintelligence that really dislikes us, we're probably toast. So let's not do that.
All right. Callum Chase, again, thank you for joining us. I'm going to post a link on our Facebook page to your books, and I wish you the best. Callum, thank you again for joining us. I'll get a hold of you. Maybe we can do this again some other time.
That'll be fun. Great pleasure, Dave.
All right, Callum, thank you again. That was Callum Chase. Again, check out his books. He has several of them. AI, The Two Singularities.
Summit still on. Migrant child separation. I'm Barbara Cusack. Justice Department indictments in the Russia probe have led to calls for President Trump to cancel his meeting Monday with Russian President Putin.
Top Senate Democrat Chuck Schumer says the president should cancel Monday's summit, saying glad-handing with Vladimir Putin following the indictment of 12 Russian military intelligence officers would be an insult to our democracy. The top Democrat on the Senate Intelligence Committee, Virginia's Mark Warner, says the meeting can no longer be one-on-one, and the indictments have to be topic A.
The president and his team are not willing to make the facts of this indictment a top priority of the meeting in Helsinki, then the summit should be canceled.
The president is promising to bring the issue up, but indicated he doesn't expect Putin to acknowledge any involvement. Jerry Bodlander, Washington.
A federal judge did not rule today on whether to punish the Trump administration for missing a court-order deadline to reunite dozens of young children separated from their parents. Correspondent Jim Roop says the focus instead was on pushing the government to ensure the next round of reunifications, July 26th, happens properly and on time.
What's your plan? That's what U.S. District Court Judge Dana Sobral wants to know from the government, as he gave it a bit of a pass when a deadline passed to reunite children under 5 and their parents. Out of 102 children, 58 have been reunited. The government says it's complying the best it can. Some DNA tests and background checks have not been completed. Some of the adults have been found not to be parents, and some parents have yet to be found.
People in at least 4 more states have been sickened by McDonald's salads. Health officials in Wisconsin, Nebraska, South Dakota, and Minnesota reported cases of people infected by the Cyclospora parasite after earlier reports from Iowa and Illinois. These authorities believe the infection stems from eating lettuce and salads at McDonald's. McDonald's has stopped the sale of salads at 3,000 of its restaurants. I'm Barbara Cusack.
It's always open house at the Mike Young Real Estate Hour, and you are always invited to walk right in and join the discussion. Hello, I am Mike Young, and I love talking real estate with all the experts and with you. So get a jump on the Real Estate Weekend every Friday, 7 p.m. on the Mike Young Real Estate Hour, right here on Listen and Be Heard Radio KSCO. The Mike Young Real Estate Hour is brought to you by Thunderbird Real Estate, Real People Selling Real Estate, by Rick Williams at American Pacific Mortgage, and by Steve Manville at Farmers Insurance. Friday at 7. See you then.
Weekdays on MeTV.
You know where you are?
Hit the trail on the Big Valley.
Get on your horse and ride out.
Then ride out with Marshall Dillon.
I'm headed for Dodge if you want to ride along.
In Gunsmoke. Later, spend some time on the Ponderosa with Bonanza.
Sound like a rifle shot.
And head over to North Fork with Lucas McCain, the rifleman.
You watch this and you mark it well.
MeTV is only on KYMB Channel 27.1 and Comcast Cable Channel 19. States.
For the first time, grad school courses on medical marijuana are available at a university.
Thomas Jefferson University in Philadelphia will be offering graduate-level certificate programs in medical marijuana. Courses start this fall for 2 graduate certificate programs. A 3rd program on cannabinoid chemistry and toxicology will get underway in 2019. The head of the Lambert Center says healthcare professionals have had few evidence-based educational options to learn about medical marijuana's benefits and risks in clinical settings. The new programs aim to change that. I'm Marlis Majerus.
Army leaders say the creation of a new Texas-based Army command in Austin focuses on the future, helping the service adapt to emerging threats. The Army's Chief of Staff, General Mark Milley, says that the military recognized China and Russia have improved their capabilities, while the U.S. has been fighting insurgents for the past 16 years. I'm Barbara Cusack.
Hi, me again. I want to turn you on to a path to feel better, have more energy, and less sickness. It's a great website, radiominerals.com. That's radiominerals.com. The audio lectures, videos, and articles about health will captivate you. You'll see. RadioMinerals.com features content from world-class alternative health experts who make a lot of sense and will capture your respect and admiration, particularly after you take their advice and try the recommended unique products designed to work in concert with your body to provide all the nutrition it needs. Log on to RadioMinerals.com and take advantage of all the free health information available there. Remember that education is your best defense against sickness and misery. Get inspired by visiting RadioMinerals.com, where you can purchase their modular nutrition packs and see for yourself how good you can feel. RadioMinerals.com.
Good afternoon, everyone. You're listening to AM 1080 KSCO Santa Cruz, AM 1340 KOMY LaSelva Beach, Watsonville. The time is now 6:05. We've got your King of the Hill traffic update straight ahead. We start off on Highway 17. We still have slow-moving traffic near Highway 9. Near Highway 9, both directions are stop-and-go. Southbound traffic begins slowing down as you leave Campbell. Speeds should pick up near the reservoir. Southbound 1 here in Santa Cruz County, slow moving from Santa Cruz into Aptos, also in Moss Landing. Monterey into Seaside, 10 miles per hour appears to be your top speed. Over on Highway 68, we have some slow moving traffic eastbound near Corral de Tierra, 10 miles per hour will be your top speed. Over on 101, southbound speeds through Coyote Valley, Gilroy, and then again near Riverside. Stop and go. 475-1080 with your traffic reports. Headlines are coming up next. They are being brought to you by Bedell and Nelson Harbert Insurance Agency, proudly celebrating over 90 years of serving the people of Santa Cruz County. Bedell, Nelson, and Harbert, one agent, one company, and answers you can trust. Their phone number is 426-3700. That's 426-3700. Your weather forecast for tonight, patchy fog is expected along with increasing clouds. Overnight lows should be around 56 degrees. Tomorrow, sunny. Highs will be just under 70 degrees. Your Monterey Bay voters forecast for tonight is missing. I'm sure there'll be lots of water and waves and seals, sea otters, all kinds of stuff out there. The time is now 6:07. We're heading to the newsroom. Phil Deseth is standing by with your headlines. Remember to check out KSCO.com, ZBSRadio.com, and Flight1080.net. KSCO headlines up next. Here's Phil.
Thanks, Dave, and good evening, everyone. Court proceedings begin today to determine whether a 16-year-old youth accused of murder will be tried as an adult. Calvin Mann has the details.
The teen is one of two people arrested in connection with a gang-motivated shooting of a 26-year-old man on April 8th in Live Oak. If the judge determines the teen can be rehabilitated in the juvenile system, he would not be tried as an adult. For KSCO, I'm Calvin Mann.
A Marina man pled guilty to murdering a man in the Cannery Row area in 2016. Jorge Mendoza shot Raul Melendez 6 times after an argument that took place in November of 2016. Mendoza then fled to Mexico but was arrested by U.S. Marshals. He is expected to be sentenced to life in prison when he is in court on August. And Monterey County Board of Supervisors voted to draft rules that would allow limited outdoor growth of commercial cannabis. Proponents say the move could bring in more tax revenue and legalize what growers are already doing. Opponents say it could have an adverse environmental impact and stress out limited law enforcement resources. The county already allows commercial indoor grows in greenhouses in industrial buildings and warehouses. A Salinas gang member has been sentenced to spend 8 years behind bars. Susan Simon reports.
32-year-old Jorge Cowboy Lopez pleaded guilty to robbing and conspiring to rob 5 banks in the greater Monterey Bay area between November of 2011 and March of the next year. Lopez was also ordered to pay nearly $53,000 in restitution. For KSCO, this is Susan Simon.
And authorities arrested 3 men in Hollister on Tuesday after police found them with drugs, a loaded handgun, and a cache of ammunition. Officers stopped a car just after midnight Tuesday near Tres Pinos Road and Ladd Lane. After searching the vehicle, they found mushrooms and methamphetamine. Brandon Oliver of Hollister, David Werlin of Hollister, and 22-year-old Kellon Jacobs of Gilroy were all arrested on drug-related charges. And the 5th Annual Latino Conservation Week starts tomorrow. The Ground for Nature of All will kick off the event with a cleanup event. Kimberly Orb is with the group, and she spoke about teaching kids.
I think that really teaches students and youth ownership of taking care of the land, and I think it's so beneficial to get all youth across the board, whether it's elementary, middle school, or high school students out there to really enjoy what's theirs, because they grow up not being told that it's theirs.
For information and a list of events, visit latinoconservationweek.org. And crews are currently evacuating loose soil and filling holes with large rocks alongside the Pajaro River to try to repair some of the damage caused by winter storms. Susan Simon has the details.
The work will be done in 17 locations that are along the Pajaro River levee system, Salsapuelas Creek, Murphy's Crossing, Highway 1, and Highway 152. They hope to complete this $6.4 million project in October. For KSCO, this is Susan Simon.
It's 6:11. Time to get back to Flight 1080. I'm Phil Deseth for KSCO Radio.
For the last 60 years, Coast Paper and Supply has been serving locals and businesses for all their cleaning and paper supply needs. With an 1,800 square foot showroom and nearly 5,000 products, you'll find everything you're looking for in the way of janitorial supplies, retail and industrial packaging, and disposable food service products for business or home. Not to mention their huge selection of boxes and shipping supplies. Their family-owned and operated business is located at 151 Josephine on River Street in Santa Cruz. Call 831-423-3350 or visit coastpapersupplyinc.com. A proud member of Think Local First.
Old school AM/FM radio, which rules the nation's media world, according to Nielsen, which has revealed the audience numbers. With 243 million monthly listeners, radio bests the competition across the board. If it's done right, it's just as influential and can be much bigger than television. A lot of people think radio, that's old-fashioned. Gee, that's nothing but old people. You'd be amazed at the numbers. Millennials. Nearly 80 million millennials, 18 to 34, tune in to radio. That's 95% of the millennial population listens to radio every week. Largest audience, of course, is boomers and then Generation X. But we hit everybody. You know, good radio is much more personal, much more intimate than television. I'm not putting TV down. I'm just reminding everybody of the true impact and power of radio.
Find out how KSCO and KOMY Radio can help your business. Call 831-475-1080 and ask for sales.
It's always open house at the Mike Young Real Estate Hour, and you are always invited to walk right in and join the discussion. Hello, I am Mike Young, and I love talking real estate with all the experts and with you. So get a jump on the Real Estate Weekend every Friday, 7 p.m. on the Mike Young Real Estate Hour, right here on Listen and Be Heard Radio KSCO. The Mike Young Real Estate Hour is brought to you by Thunderbird Real Estate, Real People Selling Real Estate, by Rick Williams at American Pacific Mortgage, and by Steve Manville at Farmers Insurance. Friday at 7. See you then.
This is KSCO, Santa Cruz, Monterey, Salinas.
KSCO Santa Cruz. It is a beautiful sunny day here on the shores of Santa Cruz, California. Boy, it is lovely out there. I love it, love it, love it. Hey, I want you guys to do me a favor. Check out the YouTube stream and see if everything is synced up, because we've been trying to get this thing. I've been trying to get this thing synced up for the past 2 hours, and it's driving me crazy. And I want to see if the voice is everything is synced up there. So go to YouTube and type in Dave Michaels KSCO and check out the live stream and let us know what you think, because we are broadcasting live as of right now. It's 6:15 p.m. and we are broadcasting live. I want to thank you for hanging out with us and listening to some of my favorite interviews. Callum Chase is a fantastic guest, as well as Nadine Strawson and Officer Trista Drake. Those were our guests today. 6:15 is the time, and joining us now, the guy that I was waiting for, and I was expecting this gentleman to show up a lot earlier. I am glad that he showed up, though. You know what? I don't know if I can get that mic turned on here, sir. Let me see if I can get this fixed. You might have to go to the other mic. 479-1080-DM at ksco.com. Let me see if I can remember what this one is called.
Here it is, Dave.
It might be called... Wait, hold on. There you go.
Here we are, Dave.
There you go.
Thank you, David. Thank you for having me. My name is Randy Mooney. And
Mooney.
I've been sending you emails for the past probably 2.5 weeks, and you haven't been responding to any of them. And I thought I'd take the bus down here today to speak to you, and you were so kind.
Oh, it's good to see you.
On the air,
it is good to see you here. Yeah, it's great to see you.
You say you've been having some people come in and be co-hosts and whatnot, and I used to be a broadcaster on the radio.
Really? How long ago was this?
1940s, David.
How long ago was this?
1940s, early 40s, David.
1940s?
As a little station broadcasting out of Lancaster called WKMPR.
Called what?
Excuse me, I'm very tired. It's a long bus ride, David. Very, very pleased to be here and listening. I'm always listening,
totally get it, yeah.
All the time. Late in the evenings, I'm listening. I'm a big fan of KSCO Radio, and especially you, David Michaels.
Oh, nice.
Dave.
Yes, sir.
Are you a fan of hard candy, David?
Am I a fan of hard candy? Yes, I am, sir. Yes, I love hard candy.
Well, Dave, you've kind of thrown me on the spot saying that I just had to speak on the radio without giving me any sort of, prompting. It's a little bit like you're throwing me
well, you were
out
supposed to
there.
be here. I was expecting you 2 hours ago.
But the point is I'm talking about hard candy because I had a delicious hard candy, and it reminds me of back when I was a boy in the 1920s, and delicious hard candies, back then, Dave. Now they have lemon heads, and they've got raspberry heads and green heads and different types of head candies. But back when I was a boy, let's face it, David, back when I was a boy, the only kind of, hard candy we had was, rocks covered in sugar. And you break your teeth out, you see this, David? I have falsies. You see there? I was in Vietnam. I once gummed a man to death.
Really?
In the trenches, David.
That must have been pretty gnarly. In the trenches of where? What trenches? What do you mean?
I was in Vietnam, David.
Oh, really?
David, you have to be 1-2-1-2. I see here, I did not want to be on camera today, David. You have quite an elaborate setup.
Yeah, it's pretty nice,
There's a green thing going on. I'm an older fellow, and I didn't have time to grab all the accoutrements that I normally would have if I knew I was going to be up on the camera, David.
Yeah, well, those of our listeners that want to go check out our YouTube channel, Dave Michaels KSCO.
David, I have some very favorite listeners of mine. Some of my favorite listeners that call in.
Do you listen that often?
I listen every day.
Who are some of your favorite listeners?
Some of my favorite listeners that call in, I like that V Cubed, he's a good one.
Yes, Vernon.
Colonel Terry is an interesting fellow.
He is a guy.
I like, there's Plinks and Aptos. He calls in. I like, there's one of my favorites I've been listening him to for years and years is that Big Gum Gordy. He's a good one, fella.
That's Big Gun Gordy, sir. Big
Gum Gordy. Gordy is good. I like. There's there used to be Krishna. She was always a fascinating.
Well, you do listen a lot.
I'm a big fan of KSCO Radio.
So how do we?
I used to listen to you back when you were on with the Charles Friedman. I'm a big into Charles Friedman. I like jazz piano and all of that.
So what kind of music you play?
Back when you were on, David, they used to call you Dead Air Dave.
Yes, they did.
But now that I've met you, I think they should have called you Dead Hair Dave. No, I'm just kidding, Dave. You're a lovely man.
That's
David.
not very nice.
No, I'm a big fan of yours, Dave. You're a beautiful man. You've progressed and now to be on your own this flight today. I'm still confused as to why you didn't respond to the 217 emails I sent you in the past.
I didn't get them. That's weird. I didn't get any of them. That is so weird. That's so bizarre. Yeah, I didn't get any.
Well, you're a very lovely man, and having me in here, I noticed you had to press this special keypad and unlock the locks, and we're deep down here in the dungeon.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, huh? You like this station? Is this anything
I love
like
it.
You were a DJ back in 1940?
In the early 1940s, David. That is
this
correct.
studio should look somewhat familiar.
It looks very, very similar. It looks absolutely similar. And as you know, out there at the station I used to broadcast in the 40s was a WKLN BOIL, and that was also known as the Whipple. Some of you may remember that from the East Coast. It was known as the Whipple. And now that Dave, it looks like he may be taking a call. I'm not. But David, honestly, the best.
Yes,
I see you're not interested in asking me questions necessarily. But here's the thing:
I'm just getting to know you.
The most exciting thing that Randy Mooney, ever did, David, was I broadcast the Summer of Love, and I'll never forget the broadcasting. There was the nude and covered in mud and whatnot, and the smell of patchouli oil, Dave, and it was a beautiful time.
Ah, yes.
I was a younger man.
Were you excited? Did that excite you? All those hippies are hanging around? Or?
Well, the hippies and flippy dippies and whatnot, they're good. They were good kids. They were good kids. Hillary, she was one of them out there, and Bernard Sanders.
Were they all out there?
Beautiful time, just to be.
Where did you? Where were you a DJ? Which station
I was at WKLN BOR. It was also known as the Whipple. For those on the East Coast that may have remembered it, I don't know if you remember it. Excuse me, David. I gotta.
No, it's okay.
Adjust my falsies. That's better.
No, that's all right. That's all right. 479-1080 if you want to speak with our guest, and your name again?
Randy Mooney.
Randy Mooney.
I'm Randy Mooney. I'm from La Selva Beach.
Right.
California. I've been here for...
Oh, really? So you live just down...
I've been there at that location for probably the past 65 years.
Wow, that's amazing.
It is quite incredible.
Now, you were a DJ back in 1940.
In the early 1940s.
What kind of music did you play? What
a lot of Charles Friedman type music. I was hoping we could play a little bit of that today.
Did you bring some records?
No, David. I unfortunately, my grandson snuck into my home a couple of weeks ago. I don't know. They've disappeared, David. They're gone. They're gone.
He probably pawned them down at the record store.
And the record store?
Mm-hmm. Or the pawn shop.
I didn't think about that.
He probably pawned it down at the pawn shop.
But they're long gone, David. It's very sad. I was thinking about going out to Charles Friedman's home in Watsonville and possibly perusing his collection.
Oh, he would love that. Just walk into his... Yeah, he would love that.
I'd love to do that sometime.
Oh, he would love it if you just show up there unannounced.
So now that I too have come unannounced here, David, what was the topic today?
Today, actually, I was playing some of the best of Flight 1080 because I wasn't sure whether or not you were going to show up. So I was playing that. And
I see.
Yeah, and here you are.
And here I am. It's so wonderful to be here on...
How did you get here, by the way?
David's program.
How did you get here?
Flight on the bus, David.
No, I mean, how did you get permission to get in here?
You let me in earlier, David. Don't you recall?
Yeah, but who invited?
I'm only... Wait a minute. How old am I this year? I think I'm...
Yeah, you were a DJ back in 1940.
I'm 98 years old this year. I'm getting up there, David. You're being so harsh on me.
No. I'm just asking, sir. I'm trying to establish a timeline here. I'm trying to figure out.
Are you still looking for co-host, Dave?
I am. Are you interested?
Well, I've been listening to your co-hosts, and I have to say that they're all quite just beautiful and lovely. That Andrea, she's a peach, just a wonderful peach. And occasionally I listen to that Army fellow, and he's whatever.
You don't like him either, huh?
He's not. Then also sometimes you have that Fred for my head.
Yeah.
That guy, well, you know. So that's and then well, sometimes you also have the lawyers are always very interesting, very, very interesting in the evening when I'm having a cup of my green tea. I like when you have them on. I enjoy that.
No, that Dean Sutton.
They get me spicy and boiled up. Then I want to go out to a Mexican restaurant, and it's not. My doctor says it's just too spicy. I can't. At an advanced age as myself, I should not be eating a spicy food. As I was telling you earlier, off the air, Dave, I went to a local establishment. I ordered something called the number 12 on the platter, and it tasted more like the number deuce. That's all I have to say about that. And then later I went, it's because the grandkids were over, and we went down to the boardwalk, and near they wanted to say, Grandpa, drive me to Steamer's Lane. Mm-hmm. I did that, and then I left the steamer.
At Steamer's Lane?
I did, sir, yes. It was quite embarrassing at my advanced age, David.
479-1080, 218-5726. Dan, calling from Watsonville, you're in the air.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. I went down to the Dave Cave, and I got some longevity products. I really like them. I'm real pleased with them. And I want to ask you, what's up with that guy's voice? What's wrong with him?
Well, this is our guest, Randy Mooney. He's our guest. He came in today to help out, and he's here to take phone calls. He's got an interesting life. We're going to find out more about him, but he's going to hang out with us for the next
Yes, sir. No. Well, as you may know, as I mentioned earlier, I was in some military action, and I had my nose is large, and it gets the clog. There's a lot of dust here in the KSCO.
Oh. Okay.
All right, Dan. Thank you for the call, 479-1080.
Dan, thank you for calling. You're the man, as my grandkids say.
Mickey, calling from Capitola. You're in the air.
Mickey, this is one of my other favorite callers, if it's the Mickey that I'm thinking of. You always love to tell wonderfully fabulous jokes. They always end up having to do with the man's penis.
Oh, dear, that's not me.
Oh, that's not you? Oh, I apologize.
That's sorry. Okay. I have some jokes, but they're not about that thing. But I do have a question for Dave.
All right.
Are you ready, Dave?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, the thing you talked about yesterday was that property behind the 41st Avenue back there.
Uh-huh.
Do you remember how big that lot was?
I do not remember how big that lot was. No, I do not.
I think they should put a vocational school back there where people can learn different jobs,
I think that's a fantastic idea. So, where are you from, Randy Mooney? Are you? Now you live here in La Selva Beach, right?
Coast. I live in La Selva Beach.
You live in La Selva. How long have you been living here in La Selva Beach?
I've been living here since the long time, 65 years on that home, my home.
Uh huh.
Yes.
And what made you move from the East Coast over here?
The East Coast over here, I got into fishing early on. After the war, I got into fishing there, and I worked for several different companies, and I'm a salty fellow, David.
All right. 479-1080, if you have any questions for our guest here, Randy Mooney, will be spending the next half hour with us, and we want you to join us. 479-1080, 218-5726. We are live streaming on YouTube. Dave Michaels, KSEO. Just type that into the search window, and you can see us live. Apparently, the sound is not synced up, but we'll have to take care of that later.
Well, as they used to say in the Navy, it may be FUBAR, David.
It might be. We'll just have to...
Do they say that still with the kids these days? You're such a young man. I remember when I used to have hair. I'm wearing, I'm not going to say what I have on, but the point is, you're a beautiful man.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for that. Now, what are we going to talk about today, Randy? We've established who you are, right? You worked on the East Coast. You've moved over here. You've been living here in La Selva Beach for the past 65 years.
65 years is correct, David.
Okay.
Oh, I'm supposed to talk now?
Yeah, well, yeah.
I could tell you some of my stories. I was rather, well, let's face it, I was on the radio for a number of years, but I wasn't that good at it. But I did once did an interview, and some of you may know them, fellows. They had the long hair and the what's the Beatles. I interviewed one of the Beatles there in it was the late 60s actually, and one of the Beatles, and he was a nice fellow. Turns out later he was murdered. Horrendously slaughtered.
John Lennon you're talking about.
Horrible. And I hear, I just hear that's not good.
I would have to agree that is not good.
But he was a very nice man.
Did you know him?
Who's been here? I only interviewed him one time, David. Aren't you paying attention, David? You're looking at that camera. What's happening over here, Dave?
I'm actually getting ready to go to
Who's your favorite guest that you've interviewed so far, Dave? You've interviewed some very interesting people.
My favorite guest, I would have to say, if I had to pick one, it would be,
You had that Ron Paul recently.
Ron Paul would be my favorite.
Ron Paul was a good one. That was definitely a good one. I heard the other day you were thinking about maybe doing some ghost shows.
Yes. Have you ever had any experiences with the paranormal?
I have not. Do
you believe in ghosts?
I do believe in ghosts. I absolutely do. You know, I have trouble sleeping. I haven't slept since 1982, and that's a joke, Dave. And the thing is that sometimes I go out in the evening times. I wander around and I think I see things. But they're not ghosts. What they tell me is that in the eyeball, there's something known as a floaters. There's floaters in there, and something like that. But no, I'm strictly against I'm against ghosts. I don't like them. I'm afraid of them, David. Frankly.
Good. Well,
I've never seen one, and I don't want to see one.
I think that's I don't blame you for that. 479-1080-218-5726, DM at KSCO.com. We're hanging out with Randy Mooney. Randy, are you going to hang out here?
Yes, David. I'm going to be here. This is wonderful to be here. I was hoping to meet everyone else at KSCO.
What is that? Who is that
Susan
out there?
Simon. What are you pointing at, David?
Out there. What is that? I think you should go check on that. So I think someone's trying to steal your bike.
That's a ghost, Dave.
479-1080-218-5726. We're going to break for local headlines. Phil Deeseth is standing by. He's got those ready to go. Check out KSCO.com, CBSRadio.com, and Flight1080.net. Check us out on YouTube. We are streaming right now. Phil, take it away.
Thanks, Dave, and good evening, Central Coast. A teenager was arrested following a head-on crash in Carmel Valley Road. 18-year-old Margot McNally was speeding and driving under the influence when she hit an oncoming SUV last night. Her 16-year-old passenger was critically injured along with the 69-year-old driver of the SUV. McNally was booked into Monterey County Jail for driving under the influence and causing great bodily injury. And crews are currently evacuating loose soil and filling holes with large rocks alongside the Pajaro River to try and repair some of the damage caused by the winter storms of 2017. The work will be done on 17 locations that are along the levee, south of Puedes Creek and Murphy's Crossing, Highway 1 and Highway 152. They hope to complete the $6.4 million project in October. And the 9th annual Hop and Barley Festival is set to start tomorrow at Sky Park in Scotts Valley. More than 50 regional breweries and cider makers are set to show up at the event. More than beers, the event will have live music and games. Admission is $5 and tastings is $40. For information or list of breweries, visit hopandbarley.org. It's 6:34. Time to get back to Flight 1080 and Phil Deeseth for KSCO Radio.
Does your PC take decades to boot up? Has your computer become noticeably slower to respond throughout the years? Are you frightened of your own personal computing device? Well, have no fear. User-friendly computing is here. Stop by the shop and see Peter and his friendly staff. They can do it all. Virus and spyware removal, general troubleshooting and repair, system upgrades, optimization of performance, and much more, all with the promise of a free $50 diagnostic coupon, just for saying you heard their ad on KSCO. Give them a call at 831-423-9653 or visit them directly at 505 River Street in Santa Cruz. User-friendly computing, expert computer service for an excellent price. And you can visit them online at friendlycomputing.com.
The original Stagnaro family has been in business since 1879. The Stagnaro name stands for quality, quantity, and great service. The family's Gilda's restaurant on the Santa Cruz Municipal Wharf is still the fishing headquarters of the Santa Cruz area. It's where fishermen gather each morning for coffee and breakfast before heading out on the bay. Stop by Gilda's and say hi. Dino looks forward to meeting you at Gilda's on the center of the Santa Cruz Municipal Wharf.
Tune in Sundays at 2 p.m. for Planet Watch, a show about big solutions to planet-sized problems. From the latest science facts to live interviews and upcoming astrological events with Cosmic Joe, Planet Watch is your place to keep up with the fast-moving world around you. Plus quizzes, puzzlers, and news. That's Planet Watch, 2 p.m. Sunday on KSCO AM 1080.
If someone should ask, tell them you heard it on AM 1080 KSCO.
Listening to AM 1080 KSCO Santa Cruz. Flight 1080 is back in the air. We are being joined by Randy Mooney. Is that right?
David, Randy Mooney.
Randy Mooney. Well, I want to thank you again for joining us, sir.
Thank you, sir, for having me. You're a wonderful gentleman.
Sure, no problem. You are always...
How tall are you, David?
I am about 5'6" and 3/4".
I, too, am not 5'6" and 3/4". I'm 5'8". I have you beat, though. I'm taller than you are.
I did notice
taller that. Than you are. About 60 years ago, I was 2 inches taller. I put markings on a log in the forest using my bare teeth.
A log or a tree? Because you know the tree's going to keep growing.
Well, it had bark on it, and I just...
The tree's going to keep growing, and therefore it's going to throw off your mark.
Well,
so if you measured yourself 10 years ago...
Well, let's face it, I was only pretending, Dave. I was kidding.
All right, 479-1080. What do you want to do? Do you want to talk local?
Did
you bring anything to talk about?
Quite a jokester.
Or do you want to talk headlines?
Well, I was wondering maybe we could talk about everyone nowadays with the computer, and they want to hear about, they binge watch the TV programs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as a matter of fact... binge watching is one of the reasons why Blockbuster Video closed 2 of its last 3 stores. You remember Blockbuster Video, right?
Oh, I was very, very, very big proprietor of Blockbuster.
Yesterday, there was 3 Blockbusters left in existence. Today, there's only 1, and that one is in Bend, Oregon. The other 2 were somewhere in Alaska. Those 2 have shut down. The one remaining store is in Bend, Oregon.
Bend, Oregon. I have a nephew that lives there. He claims to be a hipster. He probably goes to that Blockbuster. You know, the hipsters, one thing I've looked into is they call themselves hipsters nowadays, Dave. And I bet you they probably find it kind of cool. The kids still saying that cool.
Sure, yeah.
To rent VHS tapes.
VHS? No one rents VHS.
Blockbuster VHS tapes.
No one rents those anymore, though. Even Blockbuster, I don't think, rents them out.
You're talking about that's what they have at Blockbuster Video, VHS
They have
tapes.
DVDs also.
They do?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think. I don't know. I haven't been. When was the last time I saw a Blockbuster Video store? It was a few years ago. I don't remember.
Well, I'll be darned.
Yeah. Well, there's only one left, Randy, so if you want to get down there and rent a movie...
I'll have my nephew.
Is that what you use? Do you use a VHS?
I have a VHS player, and I also have a laser disc that I purchased in the early 80s. I may have been going through a midlife crisis. I wore a toupee. I was driving a MG midget, and it was a strange time, Dave. I bought a laser disc. I have it to this day. Beautiful, beautiful. I have copies of all of the classics. You should come over sometime. I'll make you a cup of tea, David.
479-1080. 218-5726. Thank you for your text messages. These are great.
We're getting text messages, David.
Oh, yeah, they love you. They think you're fantastic.
The text with us, David?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll check again, someone says. They're helping us with our YouTube feedback, so let us know. Take a look there, Dave Michaels, KSEO, and let us know if the sound, if it's synced up, right? And we want the sound to be synced up with our mouth. We've been working on this for the past 2 hours, so we're trying to get this to work. 479-1080, tour buses may be banned from stopping by the Full House. Did you ever watch that show, Full House?
The Full House program. I watched that one program, yeah.
A San Francisco home has become a destination for fans of the classic TV sitcom Full House, but neighbors are getting sick of it. The city might put the brakes on tour buses through that area. The Tanner family won't be found at the iconic house, but one can usually find a steady stream of tourists there who are looking to check, taking pictures of the house off their list. Too many people there.
Huh.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Well, that's just a darn shame. What can I say about that, David?
Nothing.
I mean, the thing is, the program, it's not like they shot it inside of that house. People need to get serious and real.
You were talking about binge-watching.
Binge-watching television. All of them. I watch all of them, David.
What's your favorite show?
I watch Game of Thrones. I watch The Mad Men's. I watch everything. Fuller House. I've seen it. Seen all of them. I don't have a job, David. That's why I'm down here, and I have a lot of free time, and I'm an older man, but I like to watch all of those programs. I have a new, Spider-Man film coming out, and what I'm really excited about coming up is going to be, and today is Friday the 13th, is that new Halloween film, Dave.
That's right. Are you into those movies? Generally, people your age don't like to watch those kind of movies.
I enjoy it. I love it. I just love it.
Wow. You're not worried about the kids watching that kind of stuff?
Scare you, Dave?
No, but someone says that on Flight 1080 on Friday the 13th, everybody always makes that sound.
That's the noise they make, right?
Do you know what? But someone was telling me that that's not really the sound. The sound that you're hearing is kill, mom.
Is that true?
Yes, it's kill mom or kill Jason or something
like that. But have they modified it? They modded it. Oh, they modded it. Cool. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Pretty cool. Yeah, now you know something. Yeah, Friday the 13th, I had forgotten all about that.
That is a fantastic
Maybe that's why
program.
We don't have any callers. Not because of
Well, it's a beautiful day out. People could be out surfing. It's a beautiful day here on the Monterey Bay, from Carmel to here, Santa Cruz by the sea, Dave.
Giant hogweed sends a Virginia teen to the hospital burn unit. I don't know what a giant hogweed is, but it is apparently very, very gnarly. These things get up to 18 feet high. Do they have hogweed where you're from?
Yes, David, we have something called not only hogweed, but, well, Dave, I don't want to talk about it. It's just too horrifying a thing. I've heard of it, and it looks like the man, as we're talking about a horror film, I hate to say it, but it looks something out of Freddy Krueger, his face. It's just totally, completely horrifying. And say what you will about modern technology, I don't know if you can, there's a cream or salve for that one. 479-1080, 17-year-old came across a large plant Tuesday while working a summer landscaping job. It briefly brushed his face and arm as he cut it down. Now he's in the burn unit because the plant is apparently extremely infectious. Burns, blisters, blindness can even be caused by this stuff. See, it is commonly found in New England, the Mid-Atlantic region, and the Northwest, often growing along streams and rivers and in fields, forests, yards, and roadsides. A giant hogweed. 479-1080. Interesting.
You want to take a phone call?
I'd love to take a phone call from the KSCO audience.
Oh, we got somebody from your neighborhood, from La Selva Beach. Now, you're from La Selva Beach, right? You live in La Selva Beach. You're actually from the East Coast.
I live in La Selva Beach. That is correct, Dave.
For the past 65 years.
62.
All right, well, maybe you know Rick. Maybe Rick knows you. Rick, thank you for your call. You're in the air.
Rick. Thanks for calling.
Rick, are you there? He's probably listening on the delay.
Rick, are you there? I paid Rick $75. What's happening? Rick, I'm going to need that refund.
All right. 479-1080, 218-5726. Kellogg's has recalled Honey Smacks.
Honey Smacks.
Honey Smacks. You know,
of the many hobbies I have, Dave, cereal is also one of them. And the Smacks Dig-'em Frog, I think, was probably one of my favorite commercials, again, going back to the time in the early 80s when I was having a slight crisis. I do have a laser disc. I have Back to the Future on it. That's a good one. I like to play that. I just played it during the 4th of July, actually, Dave. Do we have another caller?
We do, yes, we do. Paul is calling from Watsonville. You're in the air, Paul.
Hi there, Paul.
Yes, happy Friday.
Happy Friday, sir. You're on with Randy Mooney and David Michaels.
Yes. Do they have plans to have you on as a future regular guest, or are you still kind of...
Well, I'm not sure. That's kind of up to Dave there.
Got it. Well, you have a unique voice, I guess I would say right now, plus a witty sense of humor. So,
thank you, sir.
It doesn't make for bad radio. The only thing I would say today, Dave, is from a show note standpoint, you need to get that lady from the CHP back on a more regular basis, because I think I didn't realize you had a best of show, and it was like, damn, I had like 6 questions I could have asked her, and I just think I'm probably not the only one.
Yes, I too heard that program with the CHP lady, and she was quite fantastic, and not only informative, but she was entertaining, and was quite a good one, David.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you for your call, Paul. 479-1080. Now you can check out these shows at flight1080.net. We've got, I don't want to say
I'll
the best.
I'll have to get my
but we've got some really
nephew
good ones.
or someone to show me how to use the computator.
The computator is how you log on to
buttons and clickers and what's not.
Rick is calling from Seaside.
Hi, Rick.
You're in the air, Rick.
Yeah, hi, Dave. I really like your show. It's really good, man. I just appreciate it all the time when I listen to it.
Nice.
I get frightened a bit when I hear Billy Army on, and I don't know.
You don't care for that fellow?
No,
when has he been on last? I didn't hear the program.
Am I talking to Dave or? Anyways, Dave,
yes,
back
sir.
to you again.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to know. It scares me when Billy Army's on, but when a guy that sounds like Billy Army talking out of his nose, it's another step down, and I'm just, I don't know. I'm out of words right now.
All right, Rick. Well, I thank you for your phone call. And
thank you for calling, Rick. Thank you very much for that call. It was wonderful.
Yes.
And, I was confused
we'll
by
take
his
votes.
call.
I mean,
I have no idea what he is talking about.
How many of you would like to hear more of Randy Mooney?
Randy Mooney is my name here on Flight 1080 with Dave Michaels. And that fellow that just called there, apparently, I guess he's a really, really, really big fan of Billy Army. I haven't heard him on the air recently. But, Dave, you're going to have to make a note of that and to get him on more often.
All right. Kenny has a call. Kenny, you're in the air.
Kenny.
Mr. Mooney, oh my God, Dave, you have a legendary broadcaster on your show.
Yes, I know.
That is correct. Thank you.
That's what he was telling me.
Obviously, we have someone who may have remembered my program that was out there on the East Coast at the big that big 35,000 water, the Whipple.
Yeah, that big flamethrower back there, and you were playing all those smash hits that Charlie likes, like "Hang Out the Stars in Indiana." That was the first time I ever heard that.
That is correct. Thank you for remembering.
I loved those recordings where there would be 50 guys in a room with one microphone. Those are just classics, man. And
those are the best. I have shoes left over from sessions back in the 40s, and there's holes, and it's a beautiful thing.
Well, I'm a big fan, Mr. Mooney, and I can't believe that Dave got you on the show. You had to take the bus over there, huh?
There was a little bit of bus, a little bit of walking. I'm an older gentleman, but I like to stay sprite and fit like the great Don Knotts.
Well, you sound fantastic, man. That's great. Well, it's great to hear you on the air after all these years. Thanks for having him on, Dave. That's really great. What a great guest. You got some really great booking going on lately. You got Ron Paul and me, and Billy Army's just fantastic. I thought I was going to die last week just listening to you throw up, Dave. That was incredible radio.
Yeah, that was something else. All right, thank you for the call, Kenny. 479. Well, at least somebody remembers you.
Humor.
Dave, maybe Kenny grew up on the East Coast too. Where specifically did you grow up?
I was at Chesahock.
Chesahock,
sir.
And you were on the Whipple.
That is correct. The 35,000 water. Big.
What are some of the craziest stories that you have? I mean, you've been in broadcasting for so long. The craziest story probably
would be the time that I accidentally caught the studio on fire by possibly firing a semi-automatic weapon.
No, you didn't.
Repeatedly.
And you set the studio on fire.
One of the shells, and it got on a hot cord, and it was it was a hot day. It was Midwest, and as you know, things like a tinderbox, Dave, just like that.
479-1980-218. Would you like to hear some text messages?
I would love to hear text messages. David.
No, this one's kind of gross. I don't know.
Gross messages can be some of my favorite kind. My grandchildren sometimes will tell me gross text messages. Let's.
When's the last time you had sex? Somebody wants to know. I don't know why they want to know this.
The last time that I had sex, probably like I was saying, back in the early 80s, probably 1984 or 5.
Who was it with?
Oh, she was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful woman. She looked like one of the Golden Girls, David. The small one, Sophia Petrillo.
It's hard to read lips before the audio. How about you put your finger in the air with 8 seconds and then speak, and then I can see if that's just a thought. See how that works? So it's just thought. So here I am. I'm going to put my hand up again. There you go, and I'm speaking. So if you can go ahead and check it out. Check out KSEO, Dave Michaels.
Dave, you're doing some very technical testing.
And we will, this is the best way to do it.
It is the best way to do it.
Because I need you notice, you're here, it's only me.
That is correct.
Right? It's a lot of work to do when it's only me, and I need somebody to watch it in real time and send me the feedback. So 218-5726, whoever that is, I really, really appreciate your help. Is this Billy Army? No, it is not Billy Army. Why does everybody think that it's Billy Army?
I don't know. It's maybe perhaps we have a similar voice.
Getting a lot of emails.
What's happening with the emails, Dave?
Oh, they can't wait for the next show.
Can't wait for the next program. Was that from MZ? It wasn't it, David?
These are all anonymous. You can send them in.
Do you ever listen to that program on Saturday, that Saturday special, David?
Oh, it's a fantastic show.
That is a fantastic program. I love when MZ begins to sing and dance, and I, too, at the house will begin to sing and dance, and I'll have just a wonderful gay time. It is Gay Pride Month, isn't it, David? I like to
Sure,
be
why
hip.
not? Sure.
I like to be with it. I like to be on time. I like to be cool. It's
Sure.
Gay Pride Month.
Okay.
Do
you celebrate Gay Pride?
Into it.
Really? You are?
I did one time take my grandson to the Gay Pride. Excuse me, David. I'm sorry about that. I got congested. Pardon me. I took my grandson to the Gay Pride parade, and that was a wonderful time. But let's face it, I'm a conservative gentleman, and I kind of feel that when you're going around at the parade and there's the buttonless chaps and things hanging out the whatnot, that maybe you're losing the effectiveness of your message. I'm just saying.
What do you mean?
My grandson. And then you look around, and all of a sudden I felt like I was in a David Lynch remake of The Wizard of Oz. Lions and tigers and bears. Oh, my. That was just a little joke, David.
Where did you take your grandson? Which parade was this?
The Gay Pride parade was in San Francisco,
This is the biggest
and the Castro,
bestest,
and it goes
and the
down
gayest
to
of them all.
also the parts of the financial district. And it was a fun time, and I'm quite supportive of all that. But again, I think maybe it's a little too much leatheriness for me.
You don't like the buttless chaps? You say put some butt
No,
cover
sir.
on there?
More
Cover the butt
conservative.
area?
I feel that I don't even want to see anyone nude, ever. Anybody. Even if they're a supermodel, David. I'm a conservative.
That's why you haven't had
That is
relationships
why
since
I am
84,
wearing
right?
today, as you see, I'm wearing a three-piece suit, Dave.
Yeah, it's very, very nice.
Thank you. My hair is coiffed, and I'm feeling relaxed.
We're here with Randy Mooney. If you have any questions or text messages, you can send those in 218-5726. Here's one. Randy Mooney is the best.
Oh, thank
the
you.
Nickelback of comedy.
The Nickelback of comedy. What is Nickelback?
It's a very, very
Oh,
successful band.
Nickelback. Oh, you're showing me the cover of one of their albums now. Oh, yes. Yeah. My grandson has their album, and I just love it. I just love Nickelback. I think it's fantastic. As a matter of fact, when I go out in the evenings with older ladies, oftentimes I will put on Nickelback.
Older ladies?
I like to get
Older than you?
Yes, David, there are ladies older than me. I like to get romantic with Nickelback and a bottle of port.
You're pretty romantic.
I try, David. I picked up a few things in the military, if you know what I mean.
Randy Mooney is joining us. We only have about 4 more minutes, so let us know what you think about Randy. He's been very, very persistent.
Randy Mooney here on KSCO. I sent David many texts. It was like 200, 300 over the past couple of days. Emails. I was hoping that we could hear from some of our beautiful callers that I've grown so accustomed to listening over the years, Dave.
Oh, yeah?
I hope I'm doing a good job on the program. I feel so comfortable. I'm happy to be here, and it's a beautiful day.
218-5726. I feel like I'm hallucinating.
Well, and it is hot out, and if you're an older man or lady, I suggest you sit down, relax, drink a tall glass of water, and maybe a cup of tea.
Randy Mooney is a sweetheart. 218-5726.
Thank you. That's true. I'm a gentle man.
All right, Randy. So what are you doing today? How are you getting home?
I was hoping, Dave, that you could give me a ride to the bus stop.
Actually, I live over on the opposite direction.
Oh, well, I could call my grandson to pick me up. But oftentimes, when it gets to be later in the day like this, he doesn't like to respond to my phone calls because
or your emails.
And emails because he has a girlfriend and he's making sweet love.
All right. Well, I'm sure, he's got better things to do than to go pick up Grandpa.
Nah, he doesn't have time for that. I remember what it was like to be a young man back in the 1930s.
1930s?
It was the 30s. But then, in the 80s, I got some real vavoom going again, as I said before, Dave. And if we had more time, I'd love to tell you about that wild time in the early 80s when I drove a... excuse me,
sure.
Miata. Mazda Miata.
Oh, those are nice cars.
They're beautiful.
How long did you own one of those?
Well, I drove it for about 25 years, and then I sold it.
And what did you buy?
I'm embarrassed to tell you why I sold it.
Well, go ahead. You can tell me. No one's listening.
I sold it for a male enhancement device.
And how's that working out for you?
David, are you embarrassed by what I'm saying?
No, I want to know.
I'm an older man now.
I want to know, did it work? I'm just curious.
No, it absolutely did not work. I tried to return it, and they were not having any of it. I got it from Bangkok, China, and it was ridiculous. They refused my calls, just like I emailed you. I sent thousands of emails to Bangkok, China, and I got nothing. I couldn't return it, and nothing. And then Sophia, she left me, David. The one I told you I met in the early 80s. She was a beautiful woman. She was 5'1.5".
479-1080-218-5726.
So she made me feel tall because I'm only 5'4". I felt like a real man. I'd pick her up and spin her around. I felt like just after the end of the war, Dave.
Indictment response, separation payment. I'm Barbara Cusack. 12 Russian intelligence officers indicted for hacking the Democratic National Committee and 2016 Hillary Clinton presidential campaign. Correspondent Abby Phillip fills us in on the White House response provided by spokeswoman Lindsay Walters.
She does say this: today's charges include no allegation of knowing involvement by anyone in the campaign and no allegations that the alleged hacking affected the election results. This is consistent